Hello everyone, and welcome to Tony's Comic Spotlight. In this weekly episodic series, I spotlight some of the best comics put to print. In this week's episode, we take a look at the first appearances of the Jackal and the Punisher by shining the spotlight on the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 129 from 1973.
If you're enjoying the content, please feel free to like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell to be notified of our latest videos. Feel free to leave a comment as well. I hope you enjoy the videos. And now, on to our featured story.
The Amazing Spider-Man in The Punisher Strikes Twice. A new criminal known as the Jackal has appeared and has hired the Punisher, a costume vigilante that loves death, to destroy Spider-Man. The wall-crawler, meanwhile, is web-slinging through the city. He stops to take some pictures of a robbery and bust it up as well. He takes the photos to the Bugle, where J. Jonah Jameson has a fit that Parker has not been able to get any photos of the Punisher, and that all the competition is snapping up the photos of him in action. Peter leaves and changes back to Spider-Man, soon finds himself attacked by the Punisher, who thinks that Spider-Man is a common crook just like everyone else he kills. The vigilante doesn't have much of an upper hand against Spider-Man, and the Jackal decides to strike out. When his claws rake the back of Spider-Man's head, the Punisher calls the Jackal on his unjust methods of killing Spider-Man. The wall-crawler manages to get away when he stumbles off the edge of the building they are fighting on, gains control and swings away. When the Jackal and the Punisher depart, Spider-Man returns to the scene and collects the Punisher's weapon that was left behind and sees that it was made by Reese Armorers. Spider-Man returns to his apartment. As Peter Parker, he mends his costume, unaware that Harry Osborn is listening and suspects that Peter may know that he's decided to become the Green Goblin. While at ESU, Miles Warren has sought out Mary Jane Watson to see if she could pass along an apology to Peter over their brief run-in while he was trying to get help for her when the Vulture had captured her. At the secret hideout of the Jackal, the Punisher lashes out at the Jackal over their methods of elimination. The Punisher leaves to go see the mechanic, his gun supplier, to resupply. This brings him to Reese Armorers, where he finds Spider-Man, who just stumbled upon the mechanic's dead body. Thinking that the wall-crawler had killed the mechanic, the Punisher attacks him. During their fight, Spider-Man manages to get the upper hand and bind the Punisher. He then makes the vigilante see that the Jackal's trademark clawings were the cause of the mechanic's death. Realizing that the Jackal had been manipulating him to do his dirty work and then intended to frame him for murder, the Punisher vows to get revenge against the Jackal and storms out. When Spider-Man hears police sirens, he leaves as well. The Jackal, watching on, vows that he will eventually destroy Spider-Man. The end. In his first appearance, Frank Castle was introduced as a villain in the pages of The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 129 in 1973. Frank was hunting Spider-Man after being hired by the Jackal, who framed Spider-Man for the death of Osborn. But Castle soon saw through his old friend's scheme to have the web-slinger killed. After he realized that he was being fooled, the Punisher sided with Spidey and fought against the Jackal. In this comic, we saw the transformation of vicious, villainous Frank Castle into the anti-hero that we have come to know and love. It was the creator's Greg Conway intention to make Frank into a villain, but once he fleshed him out in these pages, the Punisher became an anti-hero. There are several crucial aspects of Frank Castle's past that directly lead to him becoming the Punisher. Few are as important as the death of his children and wife at the hands of the Costa mob family. During Punisher Year 1, we see into the psyche of the Punisher like never before. Frank's instability and reaction to the death of his family is not only tragic but telling. It's in these pages that we see the birth of the persona of the Punisher. Frank is suicidal at first while trying to resolve the crime through lawful avenues. However, the Costa family is well connected and they cannot easily be pursued in court. Once the establishment that he fought so hard to protect in Vietnam fails him, Frank takes justice, vengeance, and punishment into his own hands. Mac Bolan is a famous character created by Don Pendleton, who has appeared in hundreds of books. These books are all about Mac Bolan's war against the Mafia and his adventures during his against crime. Bolan is a Vietnam veteran who is known for his deadly capabilities but merciful tendencies. Being one of the most deadly snipers in the war, Bolan earned the nickname the Executioner. He also lost his family due to the indirect practices of the mafiosos, and therefore dedicated his life to annihilating them. The parallels between Frank Castle and Mac Bolan are obvious and almost completely lifted from the pages of his serialized novels. For instance, Frank is a Vietnam veteran known for his expertise as a soldier in almost all of his incarnations. He also had his family killed thanks to the practices of mafiosos. Frank earned his moniker from his ability to kill, but he got it during his war on the Mafia rather than his time in the Vietnam War. The Punisher will kill any and all bad guys on the streets, and he even has no problem with collateral damage if he achieves his goal of taking bad people off the streets. However, there are a few exceptions for Castle. One of these is that he won't kill policers, at least until giving them the warning to stop. Even bigger is that he won't kill American soldiers at all. Even if the soldiers are trying to kill him, or even if they are doing horrifying criminal activities, Castle will not kill a soldier. In the Great Punisher storyline Valley Forge, Punisher had to deal with the elite soldiers and he took them all down but didn't kill a single one of them. The Punisher wanted to join Captain America's side during the Civil War storyline in the comics. Cap hates everything that Frank Castle stands for, gave him a chance to join up with his resistance. That all changed when two villains offered their services and Punisher killed them in cold blood. Captain America beat up Punisher, and when he demanded that Frank fight back, he said he would never fight back against Captain America. In the storyline Marvel vs. the Punisher, a virus was turning superheroes into cannibalistic monsters. When Cap was infected, he asked Punisher to kill him before he changed, and that is when the Punisher delivered the line, "You were always my hero." There was also a time in the comic books where Punisher gained access to the War Machine armor and became a new armored hero, making him deadlier than ever for villains. This happened when Hydra Supreme took control of Steve Rogers' body and Hydra took over America. Believing that this was still his hero, Captain America, Punisher worked with Hydra in his War on Terror with some major firepower. When he realized that he was being used, he accepted the War Machine armor from Nick Fury Jr. and set out to destroy what was left of Hydra. He refused to give it back until Jim Rhodes showed up and convinced him to return the armor to him. The Punisher uses a specific symbol in his vendetta, the skull head that he wears on his shirts and had painted on his van. Over the years, Punisher's symbol was used in comics by others as well as in the real world. Punisher found police officers in the comics using his symbol and told them not to. He explained that police made an oath to uphold the law and help people. Punisher said he doesn't do that and that his symbol represents death, telling them not to use it or he will come for them next. Frank knows he's no hero. Heroes save people. Heroes care about doing the right thing. All Frank cares about is executing the worst of humanity. In other words, punishing villains is not remotely the same as being a hero. This is part of why he kills those who take up his symbol. It is also why if Frank ever manages to kill every murderer and psychopath on the planet, there will still be a final bullet chambered in his gun to use on himself. He knows what he does is wrong and makes no excuses about it, but until his death comes, he is focused on his mission. Miles Warren's transformation into the Jackal began when he was a professor at Empire State University, where he taught both Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy, though he developed a dark infatuation with Gwen that began to consume him. When he learned of her death, he attempted to clone her using blood samples he had collected in class. Though his experiments were imperfect, and almost all the clones suffered from cellular degeneration. His obsession with Gwen and his anger at Spider-Man for letting her die are his two biggest driving forces as the Jackal. Jackal also had a blood sample of Peter Parker that he used to create a clone alongside Gwen Stacy, which allowed him to quickly deduce that Peter Parker was actually Spider-Man, who he felt was responsible for Gwen's death. He manipulated both Spider-Man and his clone into a battle that left one of them presumed dead, though it would be revealed years later that the clone had actually survived. This launched the troubled clone saga of the 90s that introduced characters like Ben Reilly and Kane Parker, both of whom would go on to use the Scarlet Spider identity. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch this spotlight as we celebrated the first appearances of the Punisher and the Jackal by spotlighting Amazing Spider-Man issue number 129. Coming up next week, we're going to do Iron Man number 55, which is the first appearance of Thanos, the Blood Brothers, and Drax the Destroyer. I want to take a minute to thank everyone for supporting the channel. And if you're not a member, consider subscribing to the channel, giving us a like, and don't forget to ring the bell for future notifications. And thank you to everyone that's watched this video or any other video I've done. So until next time, everyone, be safe, take care, and God bless. See ya.